I've come to really love Mahito's odd fighting style. I really like his weird body alteration, as well as like doing it on people he's captured with his the way he can pretty much warp and reshape souls. I just like how he does it in such a pretty basic yet super flexible way. Like, it's not like he can just like throw one and it turns into like an atomic bomb or something, but he's always using them in just such strange strange constructions. I really like it, and the way that he like disguises himself and kind of just like sets up attacks, and then later splitting himself into two. So I'm guessing that he's at half power right now. If he pretty much made an exact clear cut copy of himself, I assume, because he's asked to split up his soul, that he would, he's going to be at half strength, which again would make sense then of why Yuji's able to keep up with him like this, given the fact that Mahito is a special grade, and he's probably the most combat oriented special grade that we've seen. Jogo pretty much being the only person, I would say, that's shown a high level of like power in fighting to him, but he doesn't have nearly as like the level of just sheer like combative talent that Mahito does, and just sheer like fighting ingenuity and like strategic like improvement. I really like that about Mahito, because there's never a time where he's just, oh, I'm just gonna run at you and attack. He's always looking for ways to kind of like do weird maneuvers around his opponent, and he's always looking for ways to do very strange attacks. He's not just from the way that his fighting is, he has to fight in just such a weird, like, out of nowhere way that just works for him, and I really like that. But from this chapter, they're just brawling. You have Yuji and Mahito just going at each other, and like I said, you get like attacks like he's like throwing the transfigured like little humans. He like chucks one at like a wall, and then it just activates and grows into like this big kind of like piercing claw that goes to aim for Yuji. He's like moving parts of his clothing to open up like areas that expose his body, which like warps into different limbs and whatnot for him to kind of fight, and then even can just completely cut it off from himself and have it pretty much fight remotely, and then re-merge with it when he sees fit. I like that a lot. He's just got such a very interesting and yet again fun to see way of going at his opponents. Even though he is a very, very bad guy, and I'm still upset the way that he did Nanami over by a lot, considering Nanami was one of my favorites in the series. But I can appreciate Mahito as he is as a villain, and he is definitely a very interesting, well played so far, and entertaining villain. Like, despite the bad stuff that they've done, like villains can do, if the villains are still performing to a level that like you're able to really kind of see them as a threat, and all these other things. So like I said, usually design, fighting style, just personality, whatnot, all these things running together. Even if they're somebody like Mahito that killed off one of your favorites in such a abrupt and kind of like out of nowhere way, you can still like them. Not as a person, but as the characters themselves. But I did really like that when Yuji like came across like two guys and they're like, hey, there's monsters down here, you guys, you gotta get out of here. And one of them was actually like had Mahito like warped inside of his body and was like just wearing him like a suit. Man, I think that's cool. Like Mahito's powers, they're just like tricky and creepy to watch, because like imagine he could be in plain sight like this, like pretty much taking over someone's body, and you'd never know until he attacks, unless you had like some form of like ability to like see his soul, I guess. So, there's still ways that you'd be able to see around, but generally not really. But also like his weird like flesh face sword, it just was cool. Like Mahito just has such a weird shonen horror kind of like vibe to him. And the only other like kind of character that I could see having a similar like kind of tone to him is Makima from Chainsaw Man, because even other like big villains don't generally have that kind of like tone in shonens, because shonen is generally more of like an action series and not something like Jujutsu Kaisen, which does lean a little bit towards like a darker, almost horror like theme at times. But Mahito out of all the characters definitely has that. I think the flesh manipulation and just like how oddly like he fights and stuff, it really just adds to it. But then we like see a flashback, and it's like back when Dogon was still alive, and Jogo, and pretty much all the, or sorry, Dagon, not Dogon. I still get that mixed up. But I'm sad that I didn't get to see Hanami at least in a flashback. I still miss him. Sad that both two of the characters in the series that were amongst my favorites, Hanami and Nanami, oh cool, similar names, but one's a good guy, one's a bad guy. Like Akutami really likes to have characters with names very close to each other, like Yuji, Yuta, you got Todo, Toji. There's slight, obviously it's different in Japanese, but like when you say them out loud, obviously they're similar in sound. Some of these, and then some of them kind of like parallel to others and stuff. But got both my guys dead at the same arc. That's great. Anyway, we have Mahito just splitting up, making a duplicate of himself. And again, like, I've seen clones and doubles in other series. Like, I've seen, I mean, anybody's seen, well, not anybody. Most anime and manga fans have seen Naruto, or at least seen clips of him. Shadow clones, obviously. It's a power that you don't see a ton, but obviously because of Naruto, it's one of those very iconic ones that everybody knows of. But even here, like, he just makes one extra. It's not like that's a crazy number, but the fact that he just, like, does this creepy soul manipulation, and you have, like, a fleshy duplicate of him can just rip off his body and run off to do another, do more tasks. It just adds to, like, again, not only his arsenal, but just the level of threat and creepiness that Mahito gives off. I really like that about him. But, he's even, like, messing with, like, the guys before he left. He used, like, one of his, transfigured humans, makes, like, a flesh wall to, like, block off Jogo. But I was like, Jogo, just blast it, dude. You can shoot lava. You're fine. But I think it was more of just him getting annoyed. But after that, like, it's Mahito running into Kugisaki. Now, here's the thing. When I said earlier that Mahito split into two, probably means that each of them has him at half power. Makes sense. I think that just is logical to anybody looking at it, because it's not like he's, again, like Naruto making a shadow clone. He's splitting his soul into two duplicates. So I imagine they'd be at a half power. And with Yuji, if it was like, oh, Yuji just like was only able to keep up with him because Mahito was being playful and he wasn't fighting all out yet. But the thing is, it's like, if you knew that, and it's like, oh, well, eventually he's going to fight seriously, and Yuji's going to start to get overwhelmed. We know Yuji is the main character, and has Sukuna in his body and stuff. There's always the chance for, like, upgrades and power boost rage forms or whatever. As well as, obviously with Sukuna in there in general, like, he always has that chance of Sukuna taking over and whatnot. So, even if Mahito ended up, like, fighting seriously, and it was like, oh, he's way more powerful now. With Kugisaki, I like Kugisaki, but she's nowhere obviously near, like, the level that someone, like, could fight with Mahito. Because we saw what she was like, earlier, like, the level of fighting she's at. She's not weak, but these are, Mahito is a character that is way above her pay grade. But if Mahito is at half power, and given, like, she's a strategical fighter with the way that, she puts her cursed energy in her nails, she can probably do some stuff to outsmart him. Because if you have a character who is a reckless kind of, fun psycho like Mahito, there's always a chance, you could just, the fact that they're probably not thinking as intelligently and, like, more strategically, like, spread out, she could overcome him. I think if this copy of Mahito is full power, then she stands no chance. The second he activates his expansion, she dies. And I don't think she's gonna die. There's the possibility, like, Jujutsu Kaisen isn't the same, like, kind of, like, spot of Chainsaw Man, where pretty much everybody is vulnerable to die at almost any point. Jujutsu Kaisen still kills off characters, unfortunately, like Nanami. But I don't know if they would, like, you would kill off the female lead this early, also right before the anime comes out. Because, I mean, Kugisaki's definitely going to be one of those characters. She's going to get a lot of fans. Like, not only just the guys that are going to put her up on waifu material, I think a lot of females are going to really like her, because she's like, I like that she's badass, but she also kind of has to, like, tries into that more of, like, cutesy female kind of, well, you'd think is, like, the, the super girly like character, but she kind of like wants to kind of lean towards that, but she's still kind of a little bit more aggressive. I like that she has kind of like both of that side. I think people like that about her, and I don't want her to die this early. I mean, it's 122 chapters. It's still early, I guess I would say, for like bigger events, because we know there's a lot to come. But I am worried. I don't want her to die. There's the possibility she could die. I really, really hoping she doesn't. I like her. I like her personality. I like her design. I like seeing her fight. And I just like having her around. It'll really bum me out if something happens to her. Because there's an easy chance, like, if they killed her off, like, they can move Maki into, like, lead female kind of role. I really don't want Kugisaki to get killed off. But facing Mahito like this, there's a possibility. Because Mahito, obviously, he's not gonna be playfully, like, he's not gonna, like, be like, oh, I beat you, I'm gonna walk away because of, like, my own reasons. It would have to be something very specific towards, like, the greater goals that they've got. But I feel like with Mahito, given a chance, he would be like, okay, and then kill her on his way out or something. Just because he's that kind of guy. But plus, obviously, he would love. He even says it, actually. Now, I don't even need to like speculate. He knows that killing her would make would drive Eugene's like crazy. He doesn't even just say he's gonna kill her. He wants to destroy her soul. So I'm worried. I'm hoping that somebody else shows up and helps her, or like this version of Mahito, instead of it being like an even split, the Mahito that Yuji is fighting is maybe like 70% and this one's 30 or something, and maybe she unlocks her expansion. I don't know. I'm worried. That would be like a good way for her to win. It's like maybe like at the level, if it's split, if he's lower, low enough percentage, he can't use his expansion, but she unlocks like a version of hers, kind of not like a full version, but like kind of like the partway one that Megumi like achieved when he first used it. I don't know. I'm a little worried. I don't want anything bad to happen to her, but I have to brace myself if she does end up dying. This is definitely an arc where characters are getting swatted out. Anyway, other than that though, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this chapter and what your thoughts are coming up. I mean, I've never heard anyone dislike Kugisaki, so I don't want her to get hurt. Well, she's gonna get hurt. I don't want her to die. I don't think anybody would be happy that she goes, and I think it would make a lot of people really sad, especially when the anime starts, if she dies, and we're gonna be seeing her, and like the manga people are gonna be seeing her knowing what would happen. I've got my fingers crossed that she lives. I'm really hoping she lives. But anyway, like I said, comment below, thumbs up the video, put on the like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. Rather than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.